So if you have ever touched an Assassin's Creed game, you would know they have a large array of weapons within their arsenal, including the iconic hidden blade. And over the years, people around the world have tried to replicate this weapon in multiple ways. But what if I told you that in the context of Assassin's Creed, these models aren't very practical? Let me explain. See, the idea is in Assassin's Creed, all you have to do is just flex your wrist to make this blade either eject or retract at will. And likewise, people have designed it to where you just have a string connected to a ring connected to the blade, which is connected to your finger, and just by the flick of your wrist, that shit just comes out. But see, we just have one small problem though. If the trigger mechanism is simply connected to a string that activates the blade when you flex your wrist, this would seriously become a problem real fast. Because when you think about it, what is the one thing assassins be doing in every game that requires a shit ton of wrist flexion consistently? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you get the idea of where I'm going with this one. I mean, just imagine how annoying it would be every time you go to climb something, the blade just randomly constantly pops in and out. But what if I told you guys I solved that problem? Where in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I managed to create a super practical hidden blade that can all eject, retract, stab, slice, and most importantly, allow me to climb all at the same time. So stick around because I'm going to show you guys how I made the practical hidden blade. I mean, hold up, chat, bro. Just look how tough this thing looks, bro. Like, bro, just straight up, like, bro, look at that. Like, bro, imagine you find the dude who ended up stealing your crush, bro. Straight up walk up to bro, hit him with one of those. And it just like, bro, like no trace, no case. Actually, no, better yet, imagine like imagine 3 big buff oiled up black dudes come running up on your shit. What do? Bro, you just straight up gotta hit him with the and it's just gone, bro. Look at it, like, bro, like, no trace, no case. Now, I mean, let's actually be real for a second. Would I think that if 3 oiled up black dudes roll up on you, a hidden blade would be the most optimal solution? Well, probably not. As a matter of fact, see, the most practical solution to really any problem in the modern day and age. Now, see, personally, I'd like to, this is also one of my personal favorites. Or, if you're really getting impressed, you could always just pull out like one of these things straight up. Anyway, welcome back to the channel, guys. If you guys are new, last video, we became an assassin from Assassin's Creed in real life. So if you haven't seen that video already, go check that out because there I previewed the hidden blade, but here I managed to improve it and make it even better than the last video. But believe it or not, the hidden blade problem has literally been a problem I've been trying to figure out for literal years now. Like, it's literally lingered in the back of my mind ever since I even touched an Assassin's Creed game. So here we are at the beginning of my attempt to make a hidden blade back in the summer of 2022, when I went absolutely batshit crazy over a girl and made sure everybody and their mothers knew about it. So my initial build ironically served as a catalyst for the build that I would end up finally making in this video. Now, I made the first build out of a desk drawer slider, a spring, and some rubber bands, a kitchen knife, some bullshit, and some old belts just to make it stay on my wrist. Now, funny enough, I actually had the right idea here. If only I could create something that could stay in place at the bottom, it would have a very specific jolt in motion, I would be able to make the blade come out and stab. But see, the only issue with this model is that it couldn't stab and it couldn't retract unless I manually pulled that shit back. And let's be real, that is lame as fuck. But I did make a version where I had a string and a ring connected to create a trigger mechanism, but once again, it couldn't retract or stab, so it was really a one-time use. And the blade wasn't even fully hidden. The ops could see me coming with that a mile away, bro. But I'm glad to say that 3 years and 7 more shotties later, we finally cracked the code. So one night while I was watching Monster Season 2,
very good, I'll show you guys go watch that by the way.
I began to fidget with the old model until the solution struck me. What if I managed to design a hidden blade that didn't have to operate via strings and a bunch of advanced mechanisms, but rather I could make this to rely on the laws of physics instead? Yeah, that's right, guys, no strings attached. Literally. And if I design this thing correctly, I would be able to have it eject, retract, stab, slice, allow me to climb, and make sure it stays completely hidden in the process. So I got to work on sketching the model. But there's a reason I'm an electrical engineering major and not an art major, so work with me here for a second while I try to sketch some bullshit designs so that you visual learners get the idea. So first, I would recycle the blade and the desk drawer slider from the alpha version of my hidden blade. The blade was still good and the desk drawer slider was still staying to be the base we would use to work with. So first, using the slider base, I would need to shape it in a way that would allow the knife sighting base to get wedged at the bottom and to stay in place. Not too much to allow the blade to leave with a very specific motion, but not like too little so that the blade doesn't just fall out. So a nice little gray area just to make sure that it stays at the bottom right here. Next, shape the slider base to have a small little ramp at the top. This is because with this model, once the blade exits, it's going to have a little lip or a notch that's going to prevent it from going back. That will allow us to stab and let it stay in place. And when you lift your hand up, it just unhooks and falls right back down into the chassis, getting wedged at the bottom again. And at the very bottom, there'd be an optional locking mechanism to keep the blade in place, so to make extra sure it won't fall out whenever you go to climb. So now that I have the general rough draft of the blade pieced together, I think it's time to prep this thing for assembly. So I went over to my workbench and I laid all the stuff out so I could kind of visualize exactly how I was going to build it. So I took my knife, which I cut a little groove into, and this is where we're going to fully install our lip so it could catch onto the base of our blade holder. And you can see how how this edge does in fact catch onto our blade. So the idea here is I would need a very strong epoxy solution to glue an extension right next to the base's groove so that the lip would come out just a little bit more. So for Hidden Blade version 1.0 build, I figured that I would just glue this part of a window curtain bracket to the bottom of our base, and this would act as our ramp for the base of the... I know I'm labeling these things super fucking horribly. This will be the ramp that will be on our chassis. Meaning at this point, I'm about to glaze this shit with a shit ton of JB Weld. Just to make sure this thing has like an 87.8% chance of not just straight up breaking off. Now it's time to use more of this glue to weld off a broken piece of the window curtain bracket and put it onto the blade to create our extended lip, which I would need to apply to the blade very, very carefully. And done. Very last thing I need to do for this part is glue our blade inside of our slider base. Now we're gonna drench the tip with some JB Weld and just slide it right in. So our base as well as our slider base is completely finished now. Now I need to let this thing dry for the next 12 to 14 hours, as that was literally the recommended curing time for JB Weld. So here we are on day 2 of our Hidden Blade construction. Now as you probably imagine, the bracket lip I had installed actually ended up breaking off. In my initial model, I kind of had the idea for something to clamp down on the top to make for our like friction or tension or whatever you call it. And that low-key wasn't working properly either. But overall, I was headed in the right direction. If I could just find a way to design this thing to work using gravity, inertia, tension, and friction, I think this thing would actually work wonders. So I ravaged around my shed and ended up finding another Death Drawer slider. And looking at the mechanics of it, it kind of gave me an idea on how I was going to make this blade now. See, Death Drawer sliders operate with little small oiled balls placed along a track that gives it slidability. So maybe if I could remodify the blade with this in mind, we might cook here. So firstly, I decided to rework the initial ramp that would catch the blade. So to set up just welding something on the outside, maybe I could find a way to integrate it within the base or chassis of the Hidden Blade model. So I used my angle grinder to cut 2 divots on opposite ends so that I could just bend the leftover part of my ramp upwards. So here, it'll be able to catch the blade and I won't have to worry about it just breaking off. Next, I would go grind down the edges towards the center to make sure that it had a much smoother slide from its transition from point A to point B. I also shaved down the blade just a little bit on the sides because it kept getting stuck on the sides of the chassis. And so far, I'm not gonna lie, this shit's looking kinda clean. Now, this is the part where I use the other Death Drawer slider as a way to enclose the top of the blade. So from this, I retrieved the balls from the other track to use for my blade slider base. So it does work, but we can improve the smoothness of the slide. Now, this is what I managed to cook up so far. The blades are able to rest at the bottom via friction. And when a very angle-specific motion is activated, using both gravity and inertia, the blade comes out and rests at the top using friction once again. Now, to fully enclose this thing, I just needed to wedge the sides of the slider base to just be a little bit bigger than our main one, so I could kind of just slide them together. Now, once fully enclosed, we just need to use a flick of that wrist and that shit comes right out. I mean, just look how clean it is too, bro. Like the sound it makes and everything. Almost just like the game, bro. Now, if only I can find a way to slap this thing to my wrist, I think we're gonna be in business here. Now, clown me all y'all want, but duct tape low-key really is the shit. I mean, it can literally do almost anything, even keeping this Hidden Blade together. So I retrieved some leftover bell tins, one I specifically used when I recreated Batman's gauntlets.
Go check out that video if you haven't already.
And guys, I like to present to you the Op Slayer 9000. Bro, someone deadass commented that this was advanced hood warfare. Wow. So now it's time to run some tests on this thing. Okay, guys, moment of truth. I've been out here for like almost like, what time is it? I've been out here for almost like 3-4 hours now, guys. But let us see if our practical Hidden Blade works. Yeah. Guys, I might be Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Okay, now what we really need to find out is if this thing stabs well. I just need to find something to stab. Yo! And guys, it completely stays in place while I do it. Now, in terms of practical retraction, I think as long as it stays inside of its chamber when it's completely down, that's all that matters. So a pretty cool solution to that comes down and it just, it stays, it doesn't come out. Okay, guys, first problem here is, okay, these strings are in my way, but I have the Hidden Blade, so let's see if it chops. Oh, and it chops. And this shit worked. Now, this model was pretty much perfect, except for a couple imperfections. That sounds so oxymoronic. See, while the retract feature did work to some degree, it could only work if I pressed the blade up against something hard, which would also mean that in terms of stabbing, it could only impale very hollow objects like paper and cardboard. And that was even sometimes. And that was like mainly because of the way I put it together. It had no way of going around and catching the hook. It would just slide out and miss it altogether. So when it exited, it would just get wedged at the top, and that kind of kept it in place. So in terms of practicality, this version really wasn't. I mean, I could climb and still do shit with it. Like, yeah. I just needed to find a way to improve the retractability and the impale ability. Now wait, before some jackass decides to comment.
Bruh, I literally only lost this for a practical hidden blade. Decent idea, I guess, generally. But you lost me. I literally subbed during the vid, then unsubbed.
Like, god damn, bro, be patient and let me cook. Do you, like, not watch the video? Like, no, that was an actual comment, by the way. The guy did not watch the video. So come with me while I rectify these problems and create the actual practical hidden blade. So day 3 of hidden blade construction. This time I'm gonna show y'all the hidden blade version 2.0. So I started with taking this thing apart again to look at my 3 parts that I had. So first line of business, I made the divots that created the ramp a little bit deeper, so that it would rise up higher. Initially, the blade slider base only had a total of 8 balls keeping it on the track. So I ended up removing about half of those so that the blade would actually be able to lift over the base and catch the lip. Now towards the back of the second base, there's actually another ramp here. In this ramp, I'm going to modify to create the lock-in-place mechanism. And I also remodded the top of the base so that it could just slide back in instead of just getting wedged at the top. So whenever I just lift my hand up, it goes right back in. So now I'll drill a hole in the bottom of the blade base so that I could actually put some Kevlar rope here. Now, what's special about Kevlar rope, but it actually has some insane tensile strength. Now, about a year ago, whenever I designed Daredevil's billy clubs, I used this rope that was only 3/16 of an inch thick. And it was able to support my body weight fully, even with the grappling feature. This shit is like crazy strong. So I use this rope to wrap around my anchor to keep the blade from falling out whenever I'm not intending to use it. I then filed down the ramp to give the blade a better clean exit. And after putting everything back together, guys, I think we're ready for the Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade version 2.0, completely practical. So first, let's try out the ejection feature. Alright chat, so in terms of the second version of the Hidden Blade, here we go. Next, let's see how this thing does with stabbing very dense, heavy, and hard objects. And just straight up, okay? It'll always fully go in. That it always hits the lip when it stabs. Stays in place while it stabs. Okay, can it slice rope pretty well? Oh. And as you can see, like when we take the string right here, it just slices. Slices. Lastly, let's see how cleanly we can retract this thing. And then when you're done, just kind of press it again and it falls right back in. It's crazy. So once you're able to do all these things, let's see how well we can combo this. You're not gonna make me pay child support. Oh, you thought sending me the "she busy right now, little bro" text was funny? I'll show you something funny. And so actually, I thought here that I'd address some of you guys' concerns about how the Hidden Blade operates. Now, one of the comments here said that parkour doesn't require a lot of ascension, but also falling. So the way it was built, if I just fall down really hard, the blade's just gonna come out. Let's see if this actually happens. Hidden Blade is currently inside. And it's still inside. You know, let's do a close-up of that. Myth busted. You can drop it and it won't come out. All right, next question. Another comment is concerned on if I'd even be able to stab anything hard with it, given the functionality of my Hidden Blade. All right, let's test it. That it always hits the lip when it stabs. Okay, as you can see, after stabbing stone, it did not go back in. Okay, myth busted. Next question. Oh wait, I low-key can't find any more comments that are curious. Well, actually, okay, nice.
Actually, someone did question if it would hinder my wrist mobility. And the answer to that question is... full wrist mobility and the blade doesn't get in the way, practically.
And by the way, the retraction feature works just by literally tapping on the blade. And by that slight position adjustment allows it to slide right back in. See, like 1 second it's in, you just tap it slightly, right back in. Like, I swear to God. Like, first this thing doesn't move, tap it, gone. And to ensure that the hook catches every time, actually, you can kind of use one finger or just kind of use like a fist like this and kind of just press it up against the lower part of the blade like that. So no matter what, that thing will stab. Oh, and what I say, tap, back. Now, in all honesty, there's like a slight learning curve to this model. I'm not gonna lie to you. Knowing angle specifics and timing low-key really is key. So once you start practicing with the blade a little bit, you can end up pulling off some shit like this. Okay, this is literally the part where I'm going to have to plug everything in under a minute, so stick with me here. So if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with post notifications on. Comment down below and share the video with your friends, because 1, it's free. 2, it takes like 5 seconds. 3, I can't really think of anything right now. But 4, because we're always doing something crazy on the channel, guys. But if you do want to see more behind the scenes stuff of stuff that happens on this channel before I upload it, go follow my Instagram, where I usually post updates and stuff that generally does not make it to the channel. Also, if you guys did enjoy this and want to see more of me, don't forget to go subscribe to my other channel, Jafonzlo, link down in the description, where I generally be streaming, uploading different types of content, and getting into random bullshit. And as well, as the time of recording, this Sunday, I'm going to do a Batman Arkham Asylum any % completion speedrun marathon playthrough. That is a fucking mouthful. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel really bad. For anyone who's in London watching this right now in the UK, y'all might be doomed because this low-key changed the game.